catch me when I fall. You feeling我也会受伤，会被撞，会彷徨呢。But I don't wanna let you down，让你失望呢。谁能从来不受伤，不被撞，不彷徨呢？I don't wanna let you down，让你失望呢。世界请等一等，不想回家的人，等他听完这首歌，才回到他安身的那扇门。我相信最后当我转身，当我厌倦天空，想坠入海中 Someone will catch me when I fall. I know someone will catch me when I fall. I know 我们也有会受伤，会被撞，会彷徨的。谁能从来不受伤，不被撞，不彷徨的？就让我们去受伤，去伪装，去彷徨。让我继续去感受，去冲撞，去飞翔 now。
Hello and welcome, gamers. Not single, by the way. Welcome back to Bozos. Hopefully, this week it won't turn into an erys talks about stuff for about an hour. But thank you for Emily for coming on last week during the whole power situation and stuff like that. In short, Emily will return next week. But this week we have the prediction deity himself, Raz. If you could say hi and give us your most hated champ in League of Legends.
Oh, well, first of all, hi. I'll give it that. Most hated champion. Oh my god. Probably Nunu. It's actually hilarious because I enjoy Nunu thoroughly and how troll he is as a champion. When he first, before the rework and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now having to deal, I don't necessarily enjoy playing Nunu. And when I go up against Nunu, it's just the most disgusting thing. I hate it. He just nonstop ganks. It's always going to work, and there's just no punish because your teammates just want a lane. So that's just the life going up against Nunu as a champion. He's just annoying.
Yeah, I mean, when I play jungle, Nunu is the jungler, the enemy jungler I ban. Even though he's mid lane, he's top lane, he's support, he's anything and everything, and I hate it. Oh my god, that scared me. Something fell in my room. But before we start the show today, like usual, if you like this content, please go follow and do whatever you like. Also, subscribe to the YouTube if you like VODs, because I know some people, they can't watch the show live, so they come and go watch VODs. Hi, VOD watchers. I love you. Also, my Twitter to keep up to date with guests and show times and stuff like that. And also my love affair with Balan and IG. Also, if you have any questions for myself, Raz, or just talking points, please feel free to just drop them below in chat. Below, to the side, wherever chat is these days. And we can, obviously, Raz or I can pick out a few, but start dropping them towards the end so we can get some nice points at the end. Just some little fun ones. And now, the admin's out of the way. Let's begin with the first region / area / whatever you call it, this exploratory point of the show. How did you get here? Which is not your journey of how you got to work, if that was possible in this current age of pandemics, but how did you fall into this merciless pit of esports and arrive talking about video games for a living, Raz? How did you get here?
This is great. I mean, for me, it kind of all happened pretty quickly. It started off when I was, I saw it just kind of like as a way to buff up my resume because I was already playing League. I already loved playing League with friends and all that. And I started watching streams, started watching like competitive like LCS, not LCS. It was North American like MLG tournaments and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was really entertaining. At the time, I was a fan of like CLG.
Oh,
like God. I really enjoyed watching Chowster, like Doublelift, like those days. Like I thought they were really fun to watch. Oh, and forget the team's name, Legion, like that team. really enjoyed that team as well with a lot of Mortis and everything. So I just enjoyed watching the game, and I started just watching it whenever I was free, question mark. I say question mark because this was when I was in university and I was watching I was like doing midnight all-nighters on my essays and just written work. And so at that time, that's how I kind of started watching LPL and LDL, because I was watching a lot of regional leagues and the time that I was still awake. And so I just started grinding VODs, and I thought, okay, at some point in my university, I really needed to buff up my resume. And so like there was an interest for me to start working in things like just working with teams. Before I even got into that, though, I started doing China Talk, which was a talk show for LPL in general. It was with Kelsey, Frosk, Drexen, and Hugo came in a few times, but I came in to replace him because of work that he was doing at the time, and that was a lot of fun. And that for me was like pretty much me getting a foot through the door, having kind of blogged about the LPL and the LDL for LSPL for some time. So really, that would be the starting point, and it just snowballed. Working with as a volunteer analyst for Team A, going into head coaching work for the Chiefs Esports Club. This was remote, so I didn't actually go to Australia at the time. I was working remotely for them, and then working with Dignitas Europe remotely, and then Dignitas into then moving to commentary. So it all really happened really quickly, but the initial goal was just to buff up my resume and have it as as a hobby. Treat it as a hobby while I was taking university work, and it just evolved into something much larger.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing this currently while doing university work. I say doing as in sitting here procrastinating about 20 years of my life, and then being like, maybe I should do my final project, which is due at the end of the month. But will I do it? We'll find out 24 hours before the deadline.
Yep. That's what all-nighters are for, man. Those are memories that I would not want to relive.
I mean, I've got 4 months till I graduate, and then I'm still considering taking a master's, so I still got years left. But obviously, you mentioned going from coaching to casting. How was that transition like? Like, I spoke to Emily last week, and she said about going from like journalism, writing and like broadcasting ish, like not much, to live, like LCS on the show, which is something Emily hadn't done before. But what she's like, her answer was like she'd already been doing it for ESPN, like doing the ESPN China LPL corners and stuff. So she was kind of ready. Obviously, there's a difference. So how did you transition from coaching to casting?
It was a hard transition for me, actually, because I think what an easy transition is coaching or playing into desk work, like going into an analyst desk. That one's pretty easy because that requires you to do a lot of the things that you already have done, which is prepare what you think is the most important thing to like present to your audience, like which is literally what you do in casting anyways. Your host will do all the work in terms of like, okay, this is what you want as a structure, this is what we'll build for the 10 minutes. You'll say your piece, we'll have a conversation, boom, boom. Casting, completely different piece, because you're just talking about the game as it's happening. And so when something comes out to you as interesting, you have to weigh in as like, is that really interesting for the audience to speak about? Like, they don't give a damn about the runes necessarily. Like, it's good to talk about how much time do you want to put into talking about it. And will the teams you're actually casting let you talk about it? Because then they'll just start fighting relentlessly. And that was like, and going into the LPL, that was a struggle, especially whenever you had like newbie versus LGD games. So it was like, whenever it was like things like Swift versus another jungler, like, or SOFM, like all these junglers that were like, I'm gonna gank into skirmish, into scrap. Like, you're just like, okay, well, I have to just always be aware of what's in front of me. And sometimes the games are not about necessarily what you want to talk about. You just have to go with the flow of the game. So that was a lesson. That was one lesson I needed to take into consideration. And the bigger lesson was being concise and to the point and having strong statements. Like, if you're in front of a team and you're making your point very clear after a game and scrims, like, you don't have to be. It would be nice, but you don't have to be boom, 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 short and concise. You can take your time, but not the case in commentary. You really have to be concise to the point because while you're making your first point, something you might want to talk about is going to be coming up really quickly. So you just have to be fast. You have to be strong, punchy. All these things. So like there were a lot of lessons that I had to take into transitioning from coaching into commentary.
I mean, yeah, I do a bit of casting on the side. I've been kind of dabbling in play-by-play recently, and I realized play-by-play is a lot harder than I expected, and I disrespect every play-by-play caster ever. I mean, I didn't disrespect Captain Flowers because what he does is just insane, but like I was like, oh, this has got to be easy, right? No, it's not. Nothing's easy. But yeah,
it's hard as hell.
I mean, even with color casting, say like obviously you went into color casting, and I still. Do you do play-by-play?
I did a bit, only when I was covering for people in the LPL because we only had like 4 or 5 people in certain instances, and if someone gets sick, we don't really have much to cover you for. So I'll come in because I've had hosting experiences, but I've never really had like a play-by-play experience. So I was like, you know what, gonna drill it in, see how it goes, and definitely when a team fight starts, that's hard as hell to commentate on.
You have to realize like what Munch spoke about was like realizing if it was good enough to get hyped about. And so like because he plays ADC, he knows if Renekton one-shots an ADC when Renekton's fed, you don't need to get hyped about it because you expect it. It's like, oh yeah, that guy's dead. Whereas if like something insane happens, you know what to do. So obviously getting into that was a bit difficult, but with color casting, when you're talking about SoFM and the players just going, you know what, I'm gonna gank, then I'm gonna gank, and I'm gonna skirmish. You can't. With color casting, it feels like obviously you're there to analyze what's happening and what you expect to happen. Mm-hmm. But like, how do you unpack the past 20 minutes of a game when you haven't been able to really analyze anything? Do you just go to the latest point?
Yeah, it's always about going to the flow, right? Because for me, something I think is super important in commentary is like looking at the minimap. Seeing the minimap and gauging how much time you have to talk about something is like, you can also get an inclination of like what the teams are going to do. So if you're like, okay, so this team's just going to nonstop fight because they're like pushing vision really aggressively. They're doing all these things that like, yeah, the enemy team can concede, but they're probably not going to. So if a game just keeps going in that direction, you just have to like go with the flow in the sense of like talking about the game, what's going to happen, because you can never get caught up in the past. A, the replays will do that for you. Mm-hmm. And B, if you just keep talking about the game, what's going to happen, people will enjoy it a lot more. Yeah. And you'll have time afterwards. Like once the game is done, you can like talk about what are the most impactful moments of the game. So then you can start going backwards. But I think that if you try to force a conversation about the past and the game is just going to be relentless, you're going to lose your audience and you're going to lose the game. You're going to lose track of that for sure.
Like, caster loses the game first time.
Yeah. Yep.
But obviously you spent how many years in China? 2, 3?
4 years, actually.
My maths is terrible. Don't do maths on stream, kids.
But, wait, let me think. No, it must be 2 years. It's for sure 2 years. You're right. I always think about like the correlation between being with the LPL and being in China are two different things. For sure, yeah, 2 years. 2 years in China.
Okay. So, obviously, the Chinese academy system is incredible. Obviously, EDG had their own competition academy. Like, I can't remember, it's like 150 players or something that was there. Obviously, China's huge. There's just a huge player base. And the conversation's been there for about 3 years about NA Academy, but you've coached in NA Academy with GG last year?
Yep. Yeah.
How did you find the system there, and how do you find the changes? And obviously comparing it to China, obviously that's just going to be like China's better. Very simple answer, but there are things that you could say maybe NA does a little bit different that's kind of interesting.
So I think in North America, it is, I think, so with every system, when it comes to an academy or secondary league, it really is just like team by team with like what each team kind of values in that system. So there'll be teams like, I'll just throw out names in the past. It's not necessarily the case right now, but like TSM or a Team Liquid that in the past like just did not care about their academy system because like their goals were aligned with just winning their main league. Like we just want to go to Worlds, so we don't necessarily see the value because we're putting so much into veteran talent to put into young talent. But that's not the case. Like that mentality, I think, was actually pretty bad because it's not the case in China whatsoever. Even the bigger teams, like the RNGs, the EDGs, will always have a secondary team, a trainee team. They'll just have like multiple players who are in the system within the organization that are growing constantly because of just in case. You never know what's going to happen in the future. And you don't necessarily lose anything right now. I think a lot of the times the current teams in the LCS worry too much about over-investing in amateur talent and thinking that it doesn't get them anything today, when that's not the case whatsoever. Like Cloud9 has been a team that is constantly invested in amateur talent, and they've gotten actually quite a lot out of it, because when they succeed in academy or when they succeed in amateur, then guess what? There's a demand for those players. They can sell those contracts, and they can still make money off of it. So there's still a monetary gain, while there is still a gain to competitive as well, because you're, the whole altruistic, you're bettering the system as a whole is there. But I think that I think that the top LCS teams for so long have just been in a really bad mentality around investing in amateur. So like towards your point on the system, I think for a long time the LPL has been, or at least China has been, really super competitive. The environment in the LSPL has always been really ruthless to the teams that are like bottom 4. That they just get swapped out instantly if they're like, they get auto relegated. Like an auto relegation system is insane. Now that's not the case anymore, but like the system for so long has just been like, oh, bottom 4 auto relegated, you're out of the league. Bring in like fresh organizations with fresh players, and so there's always been a really hyper competitive environment there. And that's not even talking about the competition within the teams when you have trainees. So like I think China for a long time, Korea is the same as well. They've had it right when it comes to investing in talent. People will also, and this is like my last point, people will also try and tie it with like, well, they have a larger player base. They have a larger player base, so they can have a lot more players to choose from, and like that doesn't mean anything. Like the players at the top, or the players who are in amateur, that will always be there. It just depends on like how much investment or time you put into that. So while it's true that the quality of the players will definitely be different, you're going to be having to put more time into, let's say, a North American amateur player than you would necessarily with a Chinese or a Korean amateur player. That's for sure. I agree with that. But like monetarily, no, it does. You don't actually lose more from putting in that much time. And so like that's always been my thing. I think now the system in North America is, I think we're finally doing it correctly.
I mean, someone in chat is saying talk about LDL, so I wanted to ask, my favorite team obviously is Invictus Gaming. Invictus Gaming Young, they've won summer 2019, summer 2020. Do you still watch LDL by any chance?
No, sadly. That was I realized that I was watching too many leagues. So I took a step back from that one. I do still watch like when playoffs happen. So if an LDL playoff was starting, then I'll start watching, and then when it nears like semifinals and all that, then I'll start streaming it. But I definitely have taken a big step back from watching that league.
My follow-up question was, is there a player should we be watching for in LDL? But if you aren't watching it, maybe there isn't. Maybe there is though. I'm trying to think. I know the IG Young roster is completely different from. Actually, no, is it different? I believe the top lane is the same, but I don't think he's good.
I'm just gonna quickly take a look at the list and see if there's any player that I recognize that I really do think should have a chance. Like already, I'm looking at BLG Junior and saying that like Abel is on that team, and I've always been really high on him, and I think that
he's very able. Time. Would you say?
Very able. True. But he's someone that I think he has a lot of talent, and a lot of people will recognize him from when he was on RNG in the past. So there's that. But I know there's a lot of new players now, so that's interesting to look at.
I always watch. Well, I try to watch IG Young, but like spring IG Young is always terrible, and in summer I don't know what happens in summer, but they get this buff where they just go, you know what, we can win this whole thing. And they've done it for the fact. I think maybe they won't do. I'm not sure. Maybe they'll change someone. and I don't think they have the same coach. I think the main coach of IG right now is the old IG young coach, so probably that's an issue. But yeah, also with the LDL is a question that I haven't got many answers because I've been trying to figure it out. But I know there's obviously the relegation system, and I know like the story of Huan Feng. If everyone's read that, he came from an LDL team with Leon, and they got into they got promoted into the LPL or came through the LDL, and then the owner sold the spot. So, and there's obviously teams.
Which team again? Say that one more time. Just the team.
I can't remember the name. Huan Feng. It's just an example of what happens.
Oh yeah, you're right.
So
I
like,
that team, yeah.
there's like teams that are below the LDL that try to get into the LDL, and then they sell the spot to do stuff. But like, so there are teams in the LDL like Young Miracles. They don't have an LPL team. But would you ever think that maybe those organizations might go to the LPL at one point, or is it just like, is the LDL like a different being?
It is always a different thing now. So like, I'm trying to remember if they've hit their quotas. Like the LPL it has been like pushing to have like 20 teams, or at least like that was their initial thing. I know that times changed, so maybe that's not their goal anymore. But they're like, whoever's the LDL champion would be able to, at least to the end of the they were doing it split by split, but it was like end of year, and the LDL champion could move on up into the league, and that was like really cool. But obviously, like with franchise, that system is kind of stopped. So I think I would really love organizations in a healthy state in which they can move in to the LPL. If things happen, like when I say things, I mean like if like an organization either wants to leave the league or whatever happens. But that's one thing that I always kind of miss out, is that without any promotion relegation system in the LPL and in the LDL, then you kind of lose that kind of competitive nature, and not only the players but organizations as well. Like you can't have organizations feel like they're safe and not put as much investment, right, when there are organizations that are really, really hungry to get in and compete. So like that's always something that I'm worried about, but I think franchise is doing a good job at like keeping people owners accountable.
Yeah.
So I miss that. I think right now the only way that teams, like you mentioned Young Miracles, like PDD's been trying to get into the LPL for so long, and he ended up doing it. I think it's complicated right now.
I think Sunshine Hina just mentioned that they tried buying into E-Star. I remember writing about E-Star being sold, but the rumor was Jay Cho was getting involved with that sale, and they were gonna bring, it was like J Team coming over from LMS, PCS now, to the LPL, and I was like, J Team going from one to the other, and now we have 3 world champions in the LPL because J Team is the old Taipei Assassins. If anyone knows,
there's a lot of movement. There's also, actually like
there's also AHQ and Rogue Warriors. I don't fully know what that is going on. I know AHQ's logo is on the Rogue Warriors shirts, I think. But I'm not sure if Rogue Warriors are actually gonna rename, but like that's all happening.
So a lot of things have happened, and I'll say this. And they happened late into the split. Like when Riot puts a deadline onto when teams can change names and when players can change names as well, right? Like if they want to do that. And I think a lot of the movements with organizations have happened like too late. So they're keeping like the name and logo and everything. I'm not too certain about like Rogue Warrior situation. I'm sure they're thinking the same. They would much rather have the AHQ logo than they would the Rogue Warriors logo. But I know eStars is another one of that example. So like I think a lot people will be surprised, or unless if they've been reading into the rumors or anything, like either next split or next year. I'm not too sure when like organizations would rebrand. So LPL is constantly moving.
I can't remember. Was it someone rebranded in the middle? Oh no, wait. I don't think they rebranded in the middle of last season. I think they just got a better team. I think that was V5 I'm thinking of. Yeah, I'm complicating rebranding and just getting better. but okay, moving on to a little point. Do you have a favorite player of all time?
Favorite player?
Or like
I've said this every time. I say it every time. I'll always say this. It's Zatai. Zatai has always been my favorite. because I didn't mention this when I was like, how did I get into esports? But like, the reason why I took interest in the LPL to begin with was like Season 2 Worlds. Season 2 Worlds, watching Team WE and Invictus Gaming compete and seeing Zatai on Swain mid. I think that was versus SK. That was so fun. And I really took interest in that because not only were they super different, they were also really scrappy, and it was an exciting games to watch. So yeah, it's a tie for me because he was the type of person who's like a jack of all trades. He can play literally anything. When he moved top lane, he's like, yeah, I can do that with a different champion pool. Like he is just like super flexible and was always interested in different picks. The only thing with him is like jack of all trades, master of none. So when he went up against like like oh, man, I'm trying to think about the name. But like basically like better mid laners.
Yeah.
Then there would be an issue that comes into play. Like, okay, well they mastered the champion now. You're gonna have problems. Like,
I mean,
but I've enjoyed him.
Could you put Xiaohu into that category now after this season?
He's doing really well though. He's starting to master things. Like Xiaohu is a legend, and people in the West keep disrespecting his name because of internationals.
Yeah,
but he is definitely a legend for RNG.
I think the last game Xiaohu played internationally, I believe was the Fnatic RNG game. What got eliminated RNG from Worlds, and I swear, I remember him playing Zoe and him having like 94 farm at 20 minutes because he just gave it all to Uzi. And I was like, you're on Zoe, you like, I get this RNG thing, but that angered me because I was like, you're Zoe, you need stuff, and that always painted this picture in my head of Xiaohu being a bit like, I'll let Uzi do Uzi things. And then Uzi left last season, and I was just like, saw Xiaohu actually playing incredibly well, and I was like, this is the guy. And then he
can do it.
And then he went top, and I was like, oh no, please don't run it at some point. And then I saw Orianna top and was like, okay, yep, we like this top laner.
He's amazing. That's the thing about him. Honestly, people. That's why I hate when people draw conclusions at international events when they haven't really seen them during domestic play. Even when they had Uzi, like RNG got into a rhythm of playing through Xiaohu. Like when MLXG and Xiaohu were playing, it was like they would play through mid, they would get an advantage for Xiaohu, and then they would transition at the bottom lane. And so they would be a lot more flexible as a team. They didn't just always 100% play through bot lane. And then they go to internationals, and then they 100% play through bot lane. You're like, well, that's unfortunate because we all know what Xiaohu can do. So now he's top lane, and the team's not going to have that Uzi basically safety net. So you get to see the best of Xiaohu in a different lane. So I'm a little sad about that personally because I know I'm just always going to be in favor of someone being the best at their original role. But he's killing it in top lane. He's, I think, the best top laner right now. So there he goes, man.
I think maybe Breathe might have a conversation about that with you at one point.
I'll see about that.
I think the name change from Cursed to Breathe has helped him so much because he's gone from being cursed to actually breathing.
I love. You know what? The development in the top lane. I love that.
Yeah. And just to round out this segment, I wanted to ask, what is your favorite game that you've ever casted, and why? I think it's a very cool thing to know because like we all have our favorite games that we've watched, but as someone that's casted a lot of crazy games, a lot of just really good games, there has to be a one or two in there that you're just like, that was a.
I'll say one that comes to mind because I think I've casted so many games, and that's just the thing about the LPL and how many games it actually fly at you. That there are so many nuggets that I really enjoyed, and then I'll have to like go back and listen to. There are so many like Do and Be Rogue Warrior games versus like Rookie Invictus Gaming, like those bangers that I love, and like anything with the SOFM Snake / LNG, like they just did some wild stuff in general is always enjoyed. But one thing that comes to mind is, oh man. I'm thinking it's like perhaps IG versus JDG. Spring 2018, I want to say. I think that one was really fun. Or Was it 2019?
Are
My
we,
mind's
are we
really
talking
clouded.
about finals?
Finals, yeah.
The one that IG won when they won
IG
LPL.
won that finals,
2019 spring.
2019 spring has to be
You're
it.
talking to an IG fan, of course. I know what day that.
There we go.
I mean, I had to do some research, and in the quiz there might be a question about that series at one point. But
Oh,
I also have I've completely forgot. My friend has told me, Big Wally, he's reminded me, Naguri is top king, and yeah, that's my bad, bro. You can flame me in DMs. I'm sorry. I'm really Naguri will have questions about Senchao, who is the top king.
yeah. You know what? That's fair. That's fair.
But
That's
okay,
fair.
we'll leave that as Naguri is top king. At that is the final point of this segment of how you got here. I don't know how the rest of you got here, but that's how Raz got here into this hell of esports. But it's wheel time, baby. We didn't get to spin the wheel last week. I span it off stream because of everything exploded. But it's time to make sure Raz has a favorite LPL team. Now, obviously, you were saying you really enjoy FPX, you enjoy EDG, you enjoy RNG, but you don't support them. So, right here, I have the list. Is the camera? Oh wait, did the camera not work? Oh wait, I have it blind.
You got it. I definitely can't choose. That's the thing. There are so many teams that I really enjoy watching that I can't seem to choose, and so I'm down to roll this wheel and see what we get.
Now, the thing with the wheel is, if you're having a bad day and you want to make it better, you put a few things on the wheel, you spin it, and it tells you what to do. There's so much power in this wheel that it's definite. Anything that answers this wheel gives, like the answer it gives, is the correct answer. So if this tells you you're a fan of TT, you're a fan of TT. There's no.
Right.
So if Kelsey comes at you and goes, "No, bro, I'm the only TT fan," you're like, "Nah, the wheel chose me. You merely adopted them. I was born into this."
True.
So as we spin, I don't want Suning, and Suning's missed. So, oh my god, there's no way.
Of course it's LGD. Screw you, Kelsey. You can't get it. It's over.
There's no way. It's not.
She is done.
I'm telling you, this isn't scripted. If Kelsey Moser is watching this is not scripted. Raz is now the second TT fan, but he's the ruler. The wheel chose him. Now, if Kelsey wants to come on the show and argue this, I'm happy to have that. But we have Thunder Talk Gaming Raz. Do you enjoy Thunder Talk Gaming, Raz?
I now do. This is my new favorite team, and Kelsey can't say anything about it, so this is just life.
Oh, I mean, TT won't be feeling TT about having Raz as a fan, because who doesn't love Raz? And I mean, they might improve now. They've got the prediction god. You got to give them some powers. You got to help them improve their ways. Do you know much about this roster this season, by any chance?
Well, this season, no, because I haven't been watching their games. I try and make it so like I don't grind too many VODs.
Yeah.
Because like that was a bad thing for me last time around. Is that if I grind too many VODs, like that's how I got confidence in like things that I was saying about specific teams. But there are just too many games out there. Suddenly, there's no such thing as work-life balance. You're just watching games nonstop. But TT for me, like I've always been a fan of Xiaopeng. Xiaopeng as a jungler, I know that he's definitely dropped off in time, but like he's a great carry jungler that I've enjoyed him with his Nidalee. I know there was a whole thing about his AD Nidalee versus AP Nidalee. Like, hey, of course, I'm never going to be a proponent of AD Nidalee, but I've always loved his style, and I've always thought he was competitive, and I think that him and Twyla. Oh my god, I was actually the most sad about Twyla moving from LDL to LPL because I was really excited for him. I thought he was a great control mage player. It's just been a really competitive league, and that's just the story for it. So yeah, I've certainly been fans of players on TT.
So
now I can say I'm a fan of TT.
It was a sign. It was written in the stars. You've gone from they went from DMO to TT, and I think it's one of the coolest rebrands we've ever seen in the LPL. Dominus Esports to Thunder Talk Gaming. That is
Thunder Talk.
like you can't like they're just the best, and they have one of the best logos I've ever seen. Like it's literally them this season.
True, actually. You can't have TT's branding be successful. Then it would be confusing. But you can't be crying when you're winning.
But the thing is, with these kind of teams, we have to remember what happened to V5 last season. Now, I know Rogue Warriors are the worst team in the LPL right now, but the stocks are low. So if you invest now, high, you're going to come out big on the other side. We know how this could happen. They've got a few good players. They've just got to get in a support. I mean, actually, Teen's pretty good. But maybe they get an ADC and a top laner that's loaned in from a team like Suning. Oh my god, we have World TT. It's over for the entire like wherever. Wait, Worlds is in China. It's over for everyone that arrives in China.
True, they're gonna be waiting at the airport for teams to arrive. That's what's gonna happen.
Xiaopeng versus Yankos. That is a matchup that I'd never think would have happened.
Oh my god.
Yankos locks in Nidalee and Xiaofeng's like, why did he take my champion? But yeah, okay, so there is also a little point that I wanted to talk about with supporting teams. Obviously, the wheel decides what team you support. And you said like you like Xiaopeng, you like Twyla, you're a bit disappointed with what happens. But obviously, in esports, it's a bit different to what happens in real sports. The people in the esports tend to be fans of a player rather than a team. Like Def's fan club is probably bigger than Hanwha's fan club right now. Let's be real, because it's Deft. Like what? Like, do you have any like things that you? I'm trying to figure out how to word this. But basically, the talk point is teams versus players. Why do people support more teams versus support more players versus more teams?
Ties to the teams for sure. So like for me, I'm a big NBA fan, and I used to be an NHL fan, but I mean I've been moving around, so I haven't been able to keep track. So I feel so lost with the league now. And the biggest reason for that is like just regional, regional pride in a sense. Yeah. That's what it usually starts with. Like I enjoyed NHL because I watched a lot of the Calgary Flames, and I, coming from Calgary, it was like a big talking point in the city and a big pride point for the city. Especially like we'll always remember moments like where Calgary went to the Flames went to the finals in 2014, I think it was, or 20 something. Oh God, my memory's so bad.
I don't watch NHL, so I can't help you with that.
There we go. But I will always remember that. Like that was a great. I even still remember like the song that they made specifically for that team. That was just blaring on the radio. So like that was something that I really enjoyed. And then of course with NBA, I'm a Toronto Raptors fan. I still am. I'll still support the team no matter what they do when they're playing poorly, when they're playing well. And so like that's something that will always tie you to a team is kind of like that regional pride, which is why I think what they were doing in the LPL and having teams be located in certain cities like is a really good decision, because fans are already supporting teams, and now you're giving them the opportunity to be in Chengdu or in Hangzhou and like watch the games personally. So like you're giving them a way to enjoy the game as a community, and you're giving them regional pride. Yeah. So like there are things that I think are now in place for teams to or fans to enjoy teams and be fans of teams, and not necessarily be fans of players. That means you're willing to give a team a chance to try out a completely fresh squad, something that the Raptors are kind of doing with like Chris Boucher and all of these things, like names that you don't even know about that they're bringing in from the developmental league, and you're like, I still enjoy the Raptors because of I am a fan of the Raptors, and it's tied to Canada in a sense. So that's why I think that that'll change soon in China. And it's gonna take some time in North America.
I mean, with like other esports, we've had the Overwatch League, we've had the CDL, mainly Blizzard leagues, which is funny. They've gone region. It's like location based. That's the word. Yeah. So like obviously, there's like the reason I watch Overwatch League is because of the London Spitfire. Guess where I live right now? London. When they were in the final, I didn't play Overwatch much. wasn't huge. I played it a bit, but I wasn't interested in esports. Then I'm like chilling, and I'm like, I see some on the news: London Spitfire versus Philadelphia Fusion in the Overwatch League first finals, and I'm like, that sounds sick. London,
Yeah.
let me be there. And also, the Spitfire is a plane, a World War II plane, which is, when I was a kid, I was huge into like planes. So seeing a Spitfire, I was like, yo, I know that thing. That's me. That's me. So I became a fan of them, and then I moved on to the New York Excelsior because of obviously players. I for some reason I came in through region, and then I moved on through players. But the whole point is, I still have a soft spot for the London Spitfire if they do well. And the London Royal Ravens, no, I don't. Don't talk to me at CDL. I don't want to watch CDL anymore. It's too painful. But yeah, like the regional stuff, like in the LPL, is obviously still a lot more Shanghai teams. But I think there's 2 Beijing teams, right? It's JDG and RNG, which is actually pretty cool because we have a derby in a way. We have the Beijing derby, which is, I mean, you can't not get hyped about the capital city having a grudge match.
Exactly. Like, I actually really enjoyed that. Whenever an RNG versus JDG game, suddenly like that ties those 2 organizations. You can have a rivalry off of it. Like, we called it the Beijing Derby, or the Derby. Like, and that was fun already. And then I was there in Beijing and saw. I didn't actually get to see the JDG venue because I wasn't there when it was made, but I saw where it was located. In the Chijoba district, which is a really good location next to Beijing University. I don't know which one, but it's a really cool area. It's a cool art district. And so actually I want to go back to Beijing just specifically for that place because I didn't really feel like I got to see the most of it. But yeah, like I think region-based systems not only create rivalries, it also just like it makes it so fans have a place they can go. I think that one's something that not a lot of people see the value in, because like if you just have like a league that's based in Los Angeles and all of your teams play in Los Angeles, you have actually low-key a lot of fans that are in New York and they just can never watch the games. They can never go to them. The only chance they can go is if they literally fly to Los Angeles for a trip. So you're missing out on a lot of potential fans, and to kind of make your current fans into more driven, fanatics. Like that's something you want, is like a more driven fan base.
I mean, we're like edging into a conversation that I've had before, and I think I had it with Linda, iCrystallization, and a few other guests, where it was like, how would this work in Europe? Obviously, to go to country, you have to get visas, which is, well, actually, yeah, because if you ever go to London, because Fnatic and Excel are from London, you need visas now, bro. Brexit happened. Unlucky. So that structure-wise, kind of hard. Whereas in America, it's like the infrastructure that would be in place. So like, do you have a place in Florida that a team could have? The Overwatch League one you could borrow? Maybe? No, probably not. So obviously everything would have to be, that's why the LPL obviously is taking its time. Like the Shenzhen Arena was the newest one. Obviously, I think there's one team's looking to go somewhere. I can't remember. I read it somewhere, but I'm bad at remembering stuff, which is funny because I should be good at that. But yeah, so I see Hamdib said in chat as well, it'd be cool to bring it to EU. In a way, EU has it, because EU is countries. You're not going to have cities. So in a way, you look at EU as the country. So Vitality, France, G2, Spain, Excel and Fnatic, both UK. So like those having, like them being like the top team of their country, they're like, that's where your representation comes from. So now you have countries in the region, which is regional pride at the same time in a region where you have more regional pride.
Exactly, and you also can still hit the reaching out to viewers in those regions by having like I think Europe does it great with having the finals and ERL is another great example. Like ERLs, you're right. And then on top of that, having LEC finals like in separate, places. They used to also have like road shows, so they'll have like a week of LCS or LEC, in a specific location, like in Spain, which is really cool. Like there are still ways to do it. I also I loved. I didn't get to dive too in depth with it, but the idea that Overwatch had, which is like you don't necessarily have to have each team based in other regions, or like not necessarily based in other regions, but you don't have to have like games being played at every venue and every, you can have like games that are set in one location, and then for the next split they can be set in another location. So you're still like going from place to place. So there are interesting ideas on how to approach it, at least for Europe. But yeah, like you're right.
Yeah.
Europe technically already has that with ERLs as well.
I think I also brought up, there's like obviously price and stuff. Like obviously LDL teams, I wouldn't expect to have insane amounts of money for like travel, which can be costly between cities. Like I know traveling in the UK is expensive, and I go 2 hours away from London, which takes an hour and a half by train, and that's like £100. I know it doesn't sound like much, but you add that up over a few weeks, you're spending almost 2,000 maybe, like on every player. You also got staff that has to go. Maybe you're spending 2,000 per trip. It's not sustainable unless you've got good income. But obviously, I forgot what point I was gonna make. Oh, the road shows. I think I brought that up as an idea in the EU scene. I think in the NA scene also. Just have like 2 weeks of the season where everyone's in New York. Just have every game in New York for 2 weeks. You immediately satisfy a fan base that can't be satisfied weekly. Like it's like a good in between while you work out a structure of East versus West. Maybe like it'd be cool. Like obviously, I don't think you'd play at Madison Square Garden for 2 weeks just for the regular season in the middle of the season. But maybe like you find like what they had for, I think they had a really nice place in Florida for the 2018 spring finals, which is really small. It was like an opera theater, I think, and I think those ones are. I think those ones are good, but there
was also an LDL system that they moved on from. I don't think they moved on from it, which was like there were groups. So like their group stage for regular season would be North, East, South, West, and they would have it based in separate regions. So there would be Nanjing games that are being played. There would be Shanghai games that are being played. So it's like that's really cool. A cool way of doing it too. That might not work in North America simply because you are going to be destroying a system of scrim, like a scrim culture, basically. So like that would be really poor. But something around that nature, if they have like separate servers in the region, so then it would be a little easier. There are ideas you can play with for sure.
And I'll say that's the last point of this section of Raz being a TT fan and talking about regions. But bringing back to what I said about V5 returning in summer 2020, forgetting years because it's 2021. The homework segment of last week, obviously the stream didn't get to see who we span. It was JDG versus V5, and obviously, again, sorry, you didn't get to see it. But we'll spin the wheel again in a minute for next week's homework segment, which Emily Rand will talk about. She won't get to talk about the cursed game of TT. I'm praying that the next game. I pray the game she gets is cursed anyway, so she can go hard on that. But obviously, we're here now in the current time. So, JDG versus V5. What are your thoughts going into this series before you watched it?
Going into the series, I thought that JDG was pretty heavily favored. And I noticed that two teams were pretty team fight focused as well. So like if two teams are going to be like just grouping and fighting more frequently, I usually favor the more experienced team. And in this case, it was JDG. I think V5 is like, they have great players. We spoke about like Mole in the past and how talented he was as a mid laner. And Longsheng can provide like an interesting dynamic in how they team fight. But like that was my standpoint. I think that JDG have been usually a better team in that front. And I'm trying to think about JDG's bot lane, how I view them. I just usually really enjoy Lumao and how well he plays the map. So that was my idea behind them.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought he was going to say something else. But, okay, so obviously Lumao and PP God is kind of the highlight matchup. And now, maybe Mole versus Yagao was, I think, the mid laner playing. I don't think she has run. Obviously, I saw Mystic has actually arrived to play with, like, JDG. Maybe he'll appear at one point. They can't not sub him at some point. It's Mystic. Like, he isn't bad. He was very solid last year on the free cut. But your thoughts coming out of that series? It was a 2-0 to JDG, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. My thoughts were, my God, how dominating game 2 was. Like game 1 was enjoyable. Like that one I remember seeing, and I was like, okay, JDG is very thoughtful with their draft. Like they played a draft that was like very much a old Dom 1 draft. Lulu top lane, Hecarim jungle, play for team fights once again. Lulu would not only be amping up Hecarim, but she would be doing the same to her AD carry. So like that idea I thought was really smart. And also Hecarim, I think he was pathing topside. So if he couldn't get the invade off, which he didn't because Udyr started topside, it's like, okay, well, it's fine. Like, I'll just dive top lane. So I thought like he just played really well in the first like few minutes of the game, and I
That
thought the comp was
was
smart.
Kanavi, right?
Yeah, Kanavi.
Kanavi and invading. Name a better duo. The dude's always.
Yeah.
This man always wants to be in your face. But now, obviously, getting 2-0'd by JDG, it's not a good thing for V5 because now they're in a scrap for this 9th, 10th seed, which is the funniest thing to say for a league. Like, oh yeah, we have 10 seeds for playoffs, but there's 17 teams in this league, and they could be missing out.
Lot.
And you could be one set, like over 50% of teams get into playoffs here, and you could be one of the 7 teams not to make playoffs, and you're V5. Like, you're not. I think they are like 3 games away from the team below. I believe I think BLG's below them, but BLG, like, I don't know what happened to the schedule, but V5, I think it was 5-8, maybe 5-7. I can't remember. It's like they're like 2 wins, 2 games. Like,
Yeah.
IG have 1 game, BLG have 2 games on them, and it's like, you need BLG to turbo run it. I can't.
Yeah, BLG have been a team that like this is what I've always enjoyed because you have to like really grind the maths around this one. But with the LPL system, because they have best of 3s, if you're a team that has been like really having bad wins and like bad wins in the sense that you're always going to game 3s, and then when you go into losses, you're just like getting 0-2'd, the points are just so against you. So yeah, like with Victory 5 versus BLG, Victory 5 has so many losses because of like even in their wins, they're not like
winning.
they're not going 2-0. That BLG just has such a large point advantage versus them. Even though they're like technically going to be even if BLG loses one more. So yeah, that's a scrap. That's definitely a scrap, and I do not favor Victory 5 whatsoever.
In that scrap, I have written down it's IG, BLG, LNG, and V5. And I think LNG are 9th right now with like 2 games. IG are 10th with 1 game, and BLG and then it's V5, then BLG with 2 games on V5. So V5 have played the most. So V5's destiny is not in their hands. They legit have to wait for IG to run it, which they're gonna do. I'm betting against them all the way till the end of the season because it seems to be working somehow. Obviously, then.
Oh my god! Do you know what their next 3 matches are?
I believe one of them's TT.
Yeah, no, actually, V5's next 3 matches.
V5,
these are
V5.
V5's literally last 3 matches in the split. Top Esports, FPX, Invictus Gaming. That is just a knockout blow. You literally will not win a single game of your next 3. I just don't see it happening for Victory 5.
Now, the thing is with this, right? It's written here that basically V5 are going to smurf top. They're going to smurf on FPX. And it's going to be 11th versus 10th seed for 10th seed in the playoffs. And they're against IG, who have just been running it. We'll just say IG like doing IG things. They lost to TT or something. Because that's how the LPL works. We know this. We know they like to throw a spanner in the works. We know me and Munch spent about 20 minutes talking about how WE need to beat FPX. And that will show them are a good team. But we don't believe it's going to happen. WE2 or FPX. Nice, bro. We got ruined by WE. So we could say this. We all know that V5 will just change up, become a GOAT team. And then IG versus V5 is the last team to get playoffs. Winner takes all series would be the funniest thing to end the LPL season.
That definitely would be insanely troll. That would be hilarious in a lot of ways. Oh my god, the fact that I'd say the fact that Invictus Gaming and Suning maybe I'd say LNG as well because I had higher hopes for LNG. Like the fact that they're dangling basically out of playoffs for me is crazy. So yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, I had kind of high hopes for LNG. I'm an Icon fan, also a Tarzan fan, so I'm like, oh yeah, they're gonna do well. But like then I looked at their bot lane, I was like, yeah, no, this bot lane doesn't exist, and their top laner, not sure about him. And then And then I just see like Ale get signed. I'm like, I liked Natural last year, and then he changed his name to Ale or Ale, as they say on the LPA cast. Every time I just see his Ale means beer, so I'm like, this dude's drunk. He's gonna get drunk in the top lane.
I definitely want every time I want to say ale, but of
Yeah.
course, like it is for sure Ale. But I'm like, man, I just give me the chance, give me the opportunity.
But yeah, like I didn't expect them to do incredible. I expected them to make playoffs, and like seeing the amount of teams that are like, it feels like the LPL this season is a lot more competitive than it has been, which is funny to say because the LPL is usually very competitive in general, but it feels like there's like a top 4, top 3 teams, and then there's like the middle, and then there's just the bad team, and like and like this season it feels like, again, we still have those top 5, top 4 teams, but it still feels like anyone could swap and anyone could beat anyone. Like there's the whole circle of suck that happened like a few weeks ago, where it was like, because IG beat EDG, now we have it complete because now like everyone's beating everyone else, and it's like, this is IG.
It's really insane. I think one thing that international audiences don't get to recognize, like whenever they see or like think of the LPL in regular season, they're like, man, these games are bad, but they don't understand. Most of the time they're literally watching the bottom 10 teams, and even just saying, like, the concept of saying bottom 10 is already insane. Like, you already have 10 teams in your own leagues, talking about LCS and like LEC, but like the competition is really rigorous. And so like my biggest fear starting the LPL this year was that, man, FPX has an insane roster, like bringing in Nugri, and I was like, I still didn't think that they would get to Worlds because I was like, wow, EDG is really strong. Now, of course, like, you know, there are a few teams that are stronger than I expected, like RNG. But like EDG was really strong. I expected Top Esports to be it. I expected like JDG. I was like, well, these teams are still just as strong as they were last year, and EDG has now joined them. And then like now adding on to the new context of RNG being really, really good, and WE still like being as strong as they were beginning of the split, or like in the Demacia Cup tournaments. It's like, I was like, yep. Like, you now have a league that is so strong. You'll have superstar talent players that might not go to Worlds.
I mean, we always have like the best player not to go to Worlds. For a long time it was Rookie, then it was Doinby, and then they all made Worlds and won. I mean, I'm trying to think of a player that hasn't made Worlds from the current teams. Obviously JDG. And even like last season, we had the LPL had 4 seeds, and IG and FPX didn't go. Like, like let's LGT went. Please, never again. I don't want to see that anymore.
Oh god.
LGD and Worlds is not a combo that we ever want to see. But like just thinking about like the teams that like we didn't see Rookie, The Shy, Doinby, obviously TN and Chris, but like they were just, I don't know, bad last year. But like none of the world champions didn't go back to Worlds, which is, I think, the first time that's happened, which was kind of huge. But then you think about it in context of, oh, they're a top 6 team in a 17 team league. Or was it 16? It was 17 back then. Oh, yeah, it was 17 because E-Star. So, like, they're still a top team. Top 6 is big in a 17-team league. But they didn't go to Worlds with 4 seeds. It's kind of sad. And
I'm thinking on the terms of, like, the best player that has never gone to Worlds. I'm getting closer and closer to saying Flandre.
Oh, Flandre, yes.
That one for me, he's a player. There's so many, players now that have gone to Worlds, and he's always the person that's missed the train, and he has just always been so good. So I'm definitely on the Flandre hype train. Hopefully this year, because EDG is so strong that he gets that chance.
I'm running my mind through players, and I'm like, did Icon go to Worlds, even though he's not as good as he was? But like, obviously,
man,
did he go to Worlds?
I don't think so.
I don't think OMG have been to Worlds since ever, since he joined.
Yeah, maybe not Icon. I'm struggling to think of it because he went to Rift Rivals because he was the top 14 when that was when OMG's top 4.
Yeah, the top 4 OMG team.
Yeah, but I don't think they've gotten that far. They were really close at one year, when they were like one of the best teams, and then they really dropped out. That was when the whole SMLZ drama happened.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think he actually went to Worlds. That's a crazy one.
Icon, there's Flandre, obviously. I'm also thinking like rookie talent right now, like players like oh obviously Xiaolong Bao he's not the starting jungler on RNG, but like you've got players like Wink that haven't gone. Obviously, you can't say Wink's an incredible player, but like he still hasn't been towards, even though he's like I think he's third, fourth year now in the LPL. He's still very young still, but he was around behind Uzi for a while. Went to Eastar and he was pretty good, but like there's those players that haven't been. Leon did go. I'm not gonna say Leon's the best player, not to go towards, but like in the LPL, like there's so many players in the LPL that are just good, and they're hard to. PP God, Mole. Oh my God, PP God hasn't been towards. It's doomed, guys.
Yeah, Meteor is another good example. I think Meteor is a
Beishang.
great player.
Beishang hasn't been towards.
Beishang's good. Beishang's a good one too. Beishang's a good one too. You're right.
I'm glad you mentioned Meteor because I always get Meteor and Beishang mixed up, and I don't know why. Like I feel that's disrespectful to Beishang. When someone says Beishang, I think Meteor. I did mention PP God. Oh my. Anyway, we have to pick the homework segment for next week. Now, I've got some banger games on here that could turn into pure chaos. And I do have one game that's just terrible. Just one game that... LGD versus OMG is on this list. IG versus RA. And Suning versus WE. Now, which game would you enjoy watching, even though you're not going to be watching
Definitely IGRA. Hopefully the wheel is on IGRA when it spins. If they're cursed with LGD OMG,
well, it's Emily. It's Emily. You know Emily.
This is the best wheel ever if it does it.
It's IG.
Yeah, there we go. That was thank God it made the correct choice.
I would have loved it to be LGD versus OMG because I think Emily would have really enjoyed that because of the stories of both orgs. Like, just in general, these are old orgs that have been in. But obviously, we're going to our IG versus RA. So if you guys want to take part in the homework segment next week, please just watch that series. I assume most people will watch that series because RA are currently third in the LPL and IG are trying to get into playoffs. I'm going to be watching it. So see me on Twitter crying that my boys are running it down. But iBoy's winning and Leon's winning. So that makes me happy. And also Heng. Invest in Heng, right? Heng.
It's Heng. So like that's the thing about the Chinese language, man. It's definitely.
I'm trolling. I've been saying it right.
No, I hear you. You have been. It's always the second guessing that gets you.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, it's said like this. No, it's not. It said like when I saw Ale, I was like, it said like Ale, but is it Ale? Is it Ale?
It could be.
It could be. We don't know with these guys. Like they come up with English names sometimes.
True.
But talking about English and words, it's quiz time. It's the quiz that I don't have a name for this quiz yet, so I just call it Welcome to Erys' quiz about things he likes or dislikes. Who knows? I don't. Some of these questions are a bit technical, a bit throwing it back to the past. If you want to take part, please drop your answers in chat and keep your own score, or keep Raz's score and be like, Raz is bad. Why is he on the LCS? He can't even answer. He can't even answer good questions. But talking about questions, question 1. And throwbacks, throwing all the way back to 2016. You the coach of Destined for Glory, had a Lord of Time in the mid lane, Tana Del Monte. In this series, like you guys played like one series, like in the promotion challenger series against C9 Challenger. He picked a few cool mids, but he was also against the mid laner, High. In Game 3, what mid laner did High play? This is multi-choice, by the way. I'll give you a few options. Option number 1. Or A. Wait, why does it say 1? It should be A. A, Victor. B, Echo. C, Gangplank. Or D, Zillion. This is what High played in Game 3 against the Lord of Time.
Oh my. Versus Zillion?
No. The Lord of Time is Tana Del Monte.
Oh, yeah.
Tana Time. Yeah. What did High play against him? What was meta in 2016?
I'm thinking it is GP. It's GP.
Can I lock that in for you?
Yeah, lock it in.
You're correct. You're 1 for 1.
Yeah.
He played it. I wrote the question as Game 1, what did he play? But I had the Game 3 tab open. I was like, oh, I'm trolling. Let me just rechange that. So I checked Game 1 real quick for an idea of what was meta in 2016 because I forgot. And I saw he played it in Game 1 as well. And I was like, what the hell? Why is he playing it twice? Well, obviously,
just for context for people, I remember this one. So this is good. This was after I was done with Dignitas.
Yeah.
And I had already been confirmed at this time that I was going to go to Australia to cast. And so I got asked and I accepted to like work with this team. I told them, I was like, yeah, don't just, you don't have to put me out there. Don't put it publicly. I'm just like, this is just me kind of watching and helping on the side. Out of nowhere, slap it on Esportspedia that I'm working with this team. I'm like, no, I'm just, where did this come from? Yeah, that was a depressing series. That one was a wild one.
Did you know the original name for that team? They had a name before Destined for Glory, and it's
with something. I think something monkeys.
The monkeys,
the monkeys,
which made me laugh seeing Demonte on a team called the Monkeys. I was like, why does this match so well?
That is amazing. I love that.
But moving on to question 2. In one of my favorite games you've casted, or one of my favorite games of all time that IG have played, but also you've casted this, Jackie Love picked Draven. Obviously, calling back to the JDG series.
Yeah.
Who got first blood in that game?
He probably died first. I think he probably died.
Also, bonus point if you can name who the player that got first blood killed. Okay. Option A, Lamau. B, Imp. C, Jackie Love. D, Ning. Who got first blood and who did they kill?
I'll say Lamau. I think Lamau did it. It was probably like a gank that was assisted to kill Draven.
So you say they killed Jackie Love? Is that your answer?
Yeah.
Okay. I can say Jackie Love was the first person to die.
There we go.
So you get a bonus point, but you don't get the question correct. It was actually Imp that got the kill. They donated it to Imp. After Jackie Love made the crowd go crazy, he died.
There we go. That's what I expect.
I remember from that series, Jackie Love literally trading level 1, going crazy on Imp, being like, yeah, cool. And then Lamar just engages onto him. And I'm like, oh, wait, that's Leona. And then literally a few seconds later, he dies. And I'm like, And then I believe they made him 0-2 because I think Flawless was playing Rek'Sai. And I believe he ganked Jackie Love returning to lane. And he was in between the lanes. Great game 3. To make IG get 3-0. And talking about threes,
to watch that one again.
Talking about threes, question number 3: who has the current highest KDA in the LPL as of today? This is according to, I think it's Games of League or Games of Legend. A, Huanfeng. B, Viper. C, Knight. D, Gala.
Gala is a KDA player, but I'm gonna have to go with Viper. I think everything goes through bot lane for EDG, and I think Viper is the player.
Ooh, well, I can say that you're wrong. You're right about Gala being a KDA player, as your camera's gone a bit crazy.
Do I refresh it? I'm refreshing it.
Refresh it.
I'm doing it, guys.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, Gala is a KDA player. He was number 1 last week, but this week it's actually Huanfeng with a 7.8 KDA. The boy has been smurfing. I think Viper's 4th. And Knight was 3rd or 4th. But yeah, Gala was 7.6 leading, and then Huanfeng, I don't know what happened the past. I mean, I know what happened. He went crazy, but yeah, Huanfeng just banged it and went for 7.8. I mean, Gala might be on top after next week.
Yeah.
And now the same question for question number 4 for the LCS. Who has the highest KDA for the LCS? Now, I feel like you should know this. A, Blabber. B, Neo. C, Fudge. And D, Sven.
Oh, this is really hard. I'm going to go Sven. I'm going Sven. I'm all inning. I'm throwing my chips at Sven.
Ooh. Well, actually...
It's
Neo. It's 6.5 Neo. The Seraphine abuse has been working. Also, Fudge is 3rd. Which confused... Well, I think he's 4th, actually.
Yeah. I mean, C9 players are for sure going to get the highest one because their games are scrappy and a lot of kills, and they're winning. So, when you have a winning team that's just also just always high on the board in terms of KDA, for sure, that one's going to be it. I didn't want to do Perks ever because he's dying in a lot of his fights. But yeah, Sven, I always have to go to Sven because their team's winning, and also he definitely is a KDA player.
Yeah, I mean,
not dying.
The top 5 was Neo, Blabber, Sven, Fudge, and then Alfari is 5th.
Oh, there we go.
So no 100 Thieves players in there. Question number 5.
Yeah, and there's never going to be 100 Thieves on that one. They're just dying too many times.
Question number 5. Who is my favorite player from the LCK of all time? Obviously, you don't know me that well, but you might have a good guess. A. Crown, B. Madlife, C. Ruler, D. Keen.
I'm going to go Keen.
Ooh. Is that because I said I started watching League in 2018?
A little bit of that. It couldn't be Mad Life. I mean, it can't always be Mad Life. You can always watch back. But I think Keen.
I enjoy a good Thresh player, but no, you're wrong. It's actually A. Crown.
Oh. He does look insanely... The man is a model, I will say.
I will say I did start enjoying Crown because I was like, this guy's handsome. And then I went back and watched a lot of stuff and was like, this guy's insane. He doesn't get the respect he deserves. The hate he got after winning Worlds, disgusting. That guy is a top mid laner of all time. And now he's Stonkman on Twitch. And I enjoy watching Crown casually trade like 500k in stocks listening to classical music.
It's hilarious, actually. I didn't expect it when I was like, oh, he's streaming, and those are just stats. The man is a Rain Man.
I remember Ashley Kang tweeting that he had to put on his stream that I haven't invested in GME yet, and then it changed that I have invested in GME, and I was there when he did it. I was one of the viewers.
Nice. Nice, he did it.
I was like, yes, to the moon, Crown.
Incredible. Question
number 6. IG versus TL, Worlds 2019. Final game of group stage. You was on the desk with Shox, Azael, and Mithy. But who was the player that was interviewed from the game that happened before this game? Bit of a curveball. A. Naguri, B. Canyon, C. Showmaker, D. Beryl. Now, I don't know if you actually could see the interview because it was happening as the IG and TL were preparing just after the Damwon game happened. You obviously know who won by the amount of players from Damwon that were there. But yeah, the interview happens obviously on stream and then they go into you, but obviously it happened like a few minutes before what actually happened on stream. But who was that player that was interviewed?
I'm going to say Canyon. I don't remember Nuggery getting interviewed. I don't remember Beryl getting interviewed, so I'm going to go with the Canyon answer.
You are correct. You are finally on 3 points. It was Canyon.
Let's go.
I always remember that. I always remember that because that is one of my favorite, like one of my top 5 IG games to watch of all time.
Yeah.
And I always go back to it. And I remember the only place you can watch it is obviously LoL Esports, their stuff. I click on it and I'm like, oh, why am I watching Canyon? And I just have to scroll quickly past it because it's just him getting interviewed. It's just like, oh yeah, I can see the shy in the background.
I really enjoyed that series. I enjoyed the whole run up to that game. That is, for me, that game was interesting because like while we were on commercial break or like just an ad break, the people had flocked to the stage.
Yeah,
like whoever was in chairs, they'd walk directly up to the stage and were either they were initially cheering IG, and then the North American or European fans had gotten up as well, and they started cheering for Team Liquid, and so you started getting TL and IG chants happening, but like as the game while we're in break, and it was going up until we had made our predictions, and the fans were just so wild at that point. The game happened, and I know a lot of people were depressed because the actual game, like Invictus Gaming, were slamming. But like the way that it happened, I thought was really cool and like had a lot of replayability. So I'm definitely gonna go back and rewatch that game because I really enjoyed it.
I don't want to say much because I have a birthday. So my birthday is in 2 weeks, and it's a boosted Bozos day. So I have to do boosted Bozos. So I'm gonna do my own birthday special of me watching my top 5 favorite IG games, and obviously that game's gonna be there, and I'll explain why it's one of my favorites. But obviously I do have this memory because I always have to watch the start because the way you turn around and go, it's IG win, baby, and the whole crowd are like, no.
Yeah. I loved that moment. I'm gonna have to rewatch that because like
That was this
that's what I
funny
enjoy
moment.
about. Yeah, I enjoyed like dealing with an audience, like because I came in immediately as an antagonist because I was just with the LPL. Like, I was with RNG and I was with Invictus Gaming. RNG sadly went out, but with IG, man, when you had those fans that were just right there for Team Liquid, and you're like, guys, it's not happening. It's not.
I mean,
That
it was
amazing.
happening until Rookie decided, you know what, Jensen, I'm the better player. Solo kill. And now I kill Impact top, and now I get a kill Jensen bot lane. Doomed for you, bro.
It's insane. Was that this Kiana game?
Yeah, the
If I remember
Kiana
correctly.
game. I
Yeah,
remember
that
I
was
was
great.
watching it in my room, obviously, because I didn't get to go to Paris. I was kind of sad about that. I missed out on all the Balan merch, and I begged someone to give me it, and they said no. I even offered to pay for it, and they were like, no,
Yeah.
I'm not sending it to you. And I'm like, well, that's rude. You sent me pictures that you have it. And anyway, that's a different person. But I remember he looked in Kiana, and I was like, huh? Wait, because Rookie's Kiana is probably one of the best Kianas I've ever witnessed. Obviously, Kiana, a new champion. But that season, Rookie was smurfing on it. And I'm like, this is dangerous. I feel bad for Jensen here. And then you pick LeBlanc with Rookie's skin against him. You're doomed. You've angered the king. And then the Shy's like, you know what? I'm going to play Vladimir. And I'm like, this is what got IG to Worlds. I'm getting too much into this game. Question 7. The LPL loves a Baron fight, but a resident down south usually decides the game. How many Elder Dragons have been killed this split?
This split
in LPL.
Oh.
A 23, B 25, C 19, D 31. It was higher than expected.
I will go with 19.
Ooh, can I lock that in?
Yeah, lock it in.
Wrong. 23 is the answer.
23 is a lot.
There
are a lot of Elder Dragon games. That is true.
I mean, we all love a Baron fight, but some Elder Dragon fights have been hilarious to watch.
Dude, Elder Dragon fights, this is kudos to the developers, are just the most hilarious one, no matter what happens. Like, if a team ends it's either you're deciding, and of course, like, my own experiences, I hate Elder Dragon. I'm just talking about, like, my own team. My team can be winning the entire game. Like, I'm talking about, like, Golden Guardians Academy. And then you're like, oh, no, it's the Elder Dragon coin flip. One wrong decision, enemy team gets Elder, completely wipes you, you lose the game. And it's like, God damn it. I hate Elder. But as a viewer, I love it. Because, like, that's when everything
There's one thing I haven't seen in pro play yet. I might have just missed the game, but it's Karthus with an Elder Dragon. Oh my god, it's so incredible to watch. The guy literally, the lasers from hell come, like the beam from hell hits you, and then lasers appear. How insane is that? So it's
pretty insane.
I saw a pentakill on Karthus with it, and I was like, I need to see this in pro play. But moving on to question 8, we all love to see Zoe, right? All right, guys, we all love all the LPL. We all love Zoe.
Love a Zoe game.
She has been banned 129 times this season in the LPL.
A lot of times.
But who is second with 119? A. Olaf, B. Camille, C. Gnar, D. Renekton.
Has to be Olaf. I think Olaf is. Oh, wait a minute, Renekton. Oh, I think it's Renekton. I'm gonna go with the Renekton.
You are correct. It is
there
Renekton.
We go. Yeah, Renekton is just it's the LPL special.
I was like, did they really ban it this much? And I'm like, actually, wait, yeah, they would, because it's probably like, oh, our top lane is just bad, like, so we don't want to give them a good champ.
Yeah, it's either gonna be a first ban or it's gonna go into 4-5, and you're gonna ban it anyways. Olaf, I'm always concerned about, but like Udyr and Lilia exist, so I'm not really concerned about it being like the ultimate pick anymore. Yeah. It's still banned a lot, I'm sure, but like, yeah, there's nothing contesting a good old Renekton.
I also don't understand why Zoe has like 229 bans and she's picked like 40 something times and she has like a 45% win rate. It's like,
yeah,
guys, clearly you can beat it.
Yeah. Like, here's the thing about Zoe. She's not that good of a champion. Like, especially because like she is a blind pick, so you're just worried about the player picking Zoe blind. But there are so many answers to it, like Kassadin, Diana. If you want to play like mages, you can just do anything, honestly. But the whole thing about Zoe, what makes it super frustrating is just like she is basically a win condition of her own. If she gets a sleepy trouble bubble, like she can just win a game off of one team fight. And so she's very safe, yeah. And teams are not good versus like pulling her to a side lane. They're just like constantly fighting mid. Like that's when she shines. Like I've once again going back to my own experiences, going up against Poke, like Ezreal, Zoe, or whatever that may come, like they can just win a game off of a really good Zoe Poke. If you're really indecisive, so you need to be decisive versus the champion. So like I think she's a bit too good versus teams that are not very clean.
And final question. It's a bit of a freebie, but finish the statement. When I tune into an IG game, I blank. A. Ascend. B. Question reality. C. Pray for rookie. D. Leave the room.
I'll go with leave the room.
I mean, I question reality, I think, for me. I don't know what chat does, but I think leave the room and questioning reality is a good thing. D
it's about the same.
Is the EDG answer. That's kind of
that is true. D is the EDG answer. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be worrying no matter what. And you know that like questioning reality is I think that's a given. Yeah. Because like nonsense is about to happen. Usually the answer is to leave the room because watching your heart's just gonna explode.
Yeah, and
so something's gonna happen. You're not gonna like it.
The sad thing is, in sports, I'm a Liverpool fan. If you watch football, you'll know we're not having a good time, and Liverpool like to make me hurt. IG like to make me hurt. Like I just have a thing with teams that like to make me hurt. I think I'm a masochist, and yeah, Balan's my favorite player. He's sometimes good, sometimes bad.
There we go. You know, the first stage is accepting that reality.
I'm past accepting IG, and it's like I'm begging teams to beat us because it's funny to watch. It's funny to watch the Shy get dove 3v1 and sit there laughing. Like the guy is not stable. I don't like he'll kill you and he's straight faced. He'll die and he's laughing. Like it should be the other way around, bro. But
they do have a lot of opportunities for that. Like their next 4 games are RA, TT, V5, and LGD. So like those games should be easy, but it's Invictus Gaming.
It's Invictus Gaming. We play, as Ning famously says, we play to the level of opposition. We could put a dog in the chair and it'd do the same. I love Ning so much, but we've got to move on to predictions. Now, sadly, guys, you're going to get the predictions that Munch did, the results of the Munchables predictions, which was literally a month ago because obviously Lunar New Year break. And what we said about WE versus FPX, if we both convinced ourselves that FPX were going to stomp that series, or at least win. So apologies for a month old. So we'll go in there. Obviously, I got to do a quick rundown of what happened. Obviously, FPX got 2-0'd by WE. No one got points. RNG 2-0'd Rogue Warriors. We got 2 points each. IG 2-0'd EDG. We both got 0 points. Now, Raz, this is what I was talking about. I bet against IG because if they lose, I get points. If they
Munch lost a lot of points.
Yeah, if they win, I'm happy. Rogue Warriors, Rare Atom versus OMG. We both went for a 2-0 to Rare Atom. It was a 2-1, which was actually insane. OMG took a game. And then TT versus RA. You'll be happy to know that I had faith in TT to take one game from Rare Atom. I get 2 points. It means I was 5 versus 4. First week I've won in the 5 weeks, which is incredible, but it's still 30-22. I've got a mountain to climb, and I'm hoping that the prediction god himself decides to run it down. So I've got 5 games in front of me that I'm going to say. You can go for any sort of reasoning, any way. You can just give me the prediction if you're ready.
Okay. So which other games are we talking about?
So,
like from which one to which?
Game 1, LGD versus E-Star.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
oh my god.
I've got some big games, but I also felt let's spice it up a little. We've got too many good games happening.
I think you want me to go? We want me to start?
Oh well, I have my prediction already written down, so you just tell me yours, and then I'll tell you mine.
Okay. LGD versus E-Star, I think is going to be 2-1 LGD.
You're supposed to go different from me. We both gone for 2-1 LGD.
There we go.
My only prayer is that Garvey gets subbed in finally, and we actually see Garvey, Uniboy, and Kramer pop off. The other two players, I don't care about.
True. You know what? I support that.
The next game, TES versus EDG.
That is an EDG 2-0, I think.
Oh, we've gone different. I've gone for a Top Esports 2-1.
Woohoo!
I'm a big Viper fan. I currently own the EU West account EDG Viper, but there's something about Knight that just makes life good. The God's left hand, or was it God's left? I can't remember what they call it. It's God's left hand, right?
The golden left hand.
Golden left hand. That's it. There's something about that hand that just performs in big games. Now, granted he did lose Game 5 to IG in regional, but that's different. That's rookie Game 5 is different. But Knight in big games hits different. And if Scout's good, but is he Knight in big games? This is EDG we're talking about. The fall has to happen at some point. We're all waiting for it, and it starts now. Unless Clearlove gets subbed in, and then I think your 2-0 is on point.
Might happen.
Game 3 we're predicting is the Beijing Brawl. JDG versus RNG.
RNG 2-1. I'll go for a 2-1 win.
A 2-1 RNG win? I've gone for a 2-0 JDG win.
Woo! All right.
The thing is, look at the gap. The gap is 8 points. I need to make it up somewhere. I'm throwing my Queen's Gambits, my trick plays, my level 1s. I'm throwing them all out there in prayer that it works.
I'm sitting in a comfortable chair now. I'm the one that has to just make safe bets.
Yeah, you've been gifted a lead by everyone because I decided, you know what? I'm a big TT fan. I should have never done that. Which is funny because we have a TT game to predict, which is next. IG versus TT. Now, are you all in on your new boys, or are you against them?
I support them in their best of times and in their worst of times. I will give them the 0-2 loss. It will be a 2-0 Invictus Gaming win. I accept them losing. I will still be fans of them.
Now, sadly, we've evened out on that. I'm betting for IG this time, just because there's two TT fans that I need to talk crap to on Twitter now, so I can't bet on them. I need to if IG 2-0 Kelsey, I have to at her and be like, hey, better team wins, right? I mean, if TT slammers, I'm happily down to say TT are the better team because it probably is true. And obviously, the wheel that does the homework segment gives us the final game to predict, which was IG versus RA.
That's going to be an IG 2-1. It should be a 2-0, but it's Invictus Gaming, so they're going to make it harder.
So you're going to go 2-1 RA. 2-0 IG. Gonna make that show.
Yeah, 2-1. 2-0 IG.
I've gone...
2-1. Oh, no, I did 2-1. 2-1. I just said 2-1.
Yeah. I've gone for 2-1 RA.
What? Oh my goodness!
I told you.
I guess you're still making. That's true. You're still making trick shots.
My trick shots are happening. RA a third. They've got Leon. They've got iBoy. I love those two boys. And it's also the fact that if RA win, I get points. I'm happy. If RA lose, IG win. I'm happy. I can't lose. It's a win-win. It stonks. I've been watching Crown too much to know how to make all these great decisions. I mean, don't hire me in a company because I'll make decisions like this. But I'm all in on the RA hype train. Also, I think that because I think IG can throw one game, and I'll let them throw this one game. They enjoy throwing against VG Gaming, aka Rare Atom. So they can throw it once. I'll allow it, just so I can get points, and I'll be happy.
You said you'll throw 2 times though.
Wait, no, I bet for IG against TT.
Oh, okay. We did the same then. We did the same. We
went for the same. For 2 games, which is a first. Usually it's like 3 games because I do my predictions before, and then the guess just kind of matches somehow. It's also logic comes involved. I was gonna bet for E-Star because my friend Enix is an E-Star fan because of the wheel, and you see he's got 8 points on this. But I was like, nah, he took 8 points. He doesn't deserve to be happy. He ruined my life. So he
True.
so I bet against them. So we've gone for both 2-1 against LGG for LGG versus E-Star. I've gone for 2-1 TES. Raz went for 2-0 for EDG. 2-0 in the Beijing Brawl for me for Jingdong. And then RNG for 2-1. They're gonna rule Beijing apparently. I think that's completely fake news.
All right, we'll see.
IG versus TT. We both gone for the 2-0 of the Silver Wings, but we all know TT could do something because it's IG. And then
they can do something.
And then we've gone flipped 2-1. I've gone for IG. I've gone for Red Atom. Raz has gone for IG. I'm all in on the Red Atom hype train. The second best logo, the best purple color I've ever seen.
It is definitely sick to look at.
On the jersey, I'm a big fan of the jersey. Now, we won't talk about Fofo, but it looks good on him. But Fofo as a person, we won't talk about him looking good.
I hear you on that.
But yeah, that's gonna bring kind of end to the show. If you've got any questions, please just drop them in chat. We've got about like a few minutes left. We can discuss them. Wish that Xiaohu watched LS coaching Senatop and decided to try it. Xiaohu Senatop, please don't. Oh, MSI, yes, I saw that question earlier. It's a very good question. The question was jokingly, which LPL jungler will Dardoch beat at MSI? Which I think is a good question to ask. But at the same time, obviously, the serious question was, someone who watches the LPL, how would he predict MSI right now? So I'm not sure what you mean by predict MSI. I guess you mean who's going to go from the LPL and who could be like from the major regions.
Probably going to be EDG that goes from the LPL. I think EDG right now are really well balanced. They've always had a really strong mid support, but adding in Viper does a lot. Their old identity has always been play to bot side, and they can do that again. So I think they have a lot of tools naturally with the team, and they've been successful because of it. So I think they continue that.
So you're all in on EDG not throwing. Now, I think Linda, Eye Crystallization, if you know,
that's true.
If you know her, I don't think she'll be enjoying those comments because
she doesn't like that take at all.
She's expecting it to happen at some point. I mean, for
that's
me,
true. She's not gonna like the fact that there's expectations now for EDG.
Yeah, for me, I can see Rare Atom winning it. I can see it. I'm a believer. Rare Atom.
Oh, no.
But the thing is, if EDG actually go to MSI, they win MSI. I think that's just a given. Because EDG don't throw international competitions, right, guys?
Yeah, they definitely don't.
For sure.
That never happens.
But like, okay, so obviously you said predict MSI. Can you give me maybe, I would say maybe your the major region teams going? Obviously I think EU's easy. G2.
Yeah, G2. I think Damwon from Korea. I think from North America, Cloud. It's either Cloud9 or Team Liquid. I think between those two teams,
So
TSM is definitely competitive, but I think it has to be between Team Liquid and Cloud9.
So not Dignitas.
No, sadly not Dignitas.
What the thing
they're
is,
a fun team to watch.
The thing is, I think they're gonna do a fly quest this year, whereas I don't think they're gonna win spring and summer. I can't fully remember how the system works, but I could see them going to Worlds, like FlyQuest. Like FlyQuest went to finals twice in a row, but didn't win. Sadly, I wish they did. I'm a big fan of those guys in the Bs, but
yeah,
like Dignitas are like that fun team that just do whatever the hell they want. Like, they are Dignitas. They have finally figured out how to be Dignitas, like Scar and everyone. It's a bit of a throwback, and it's enjoyable to watch. And Darth picking literally every jungler under the sun.
Everything on the planet.
There was another question, which I think I missed it. Was it deleted? I swear I saw it. I remember reading it. Okay, I remember it in my head. Oh yeah, there it is. I'm just blind. What do you guys reckon the chances of LPL winning Worlds again are? Or are we in the new era of Korean Dynasty? Now, it's from VIP Mark, and Mark loves to scream at me, Korean Dynasty's back, baby. And I'm like, you're just a false prophet.
I think when it comes to Dynasty, I don't think it's regional anymore. I do still think Damwon, to answer the question, they're currently the strongest in position to win it again. But the top 3 teams in the LCK, just to freshen up my mind, because I watched actually a lot more LCK now that I've
I
done
think
in the
it's
past.
Damwon, Genji, and I want to say
Yeah,
Hanwha.
and DRX and Hanwha, yeah.
Uh,
So I think Korean teams are not very good, other than like when I say very good, I'm talking about like top 3
yeah.
in the world. I would give it for sure to Damwon. But I think Genji and DRX are pretty much in the same position. DRX a little weaker than they have been in the past. Still have a very defined strength in the top lane, but like their bot lane for me is still a question mark. So I will still say like EDG and another team. I'm trying to think about who would be second place in my mind in LPL. I'll just say for now, I think there's a lot of developing for a lot of the LPL teams. So I'll just say second place LPL team, and just figuring out who takes that position. Probably RNG would probably be within the top 3. So I still think like there will be more LPL teams that can take that position, but Damwon as a team is just too good. So yeah, Damwon is probably just going to be. They're still going to be the champions.
I would say, in my opinion, I don't think Damwon will win Worlds, just for the fact that their top laner is different. Like, I get, okay, Khan is on this solo win Worlds mission because this is his final. I believe he said it's his final season before he goes, and I know he's hellbent on winning Worlds. Like, this kid is crazy, but I don't.
Man is going from team to team trying to do it.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna do it. Sadly, I wish he would, but I don't think he is. Just for the fact that I see Khan as a downgrade from Naguri, which is like domestically, obviously they're strong, they're super strong, but Khan against like, I'm trying to think of LCK top laners. Don't want to crap on my boy Morgan. I'm a bit of a Hammer fan, but like Khan versus Morgan, cool. Khan versus Rascal is the premier matchup, and that's like, okay, nice, that's a top lane matchup. But Khan versus like Kana right now is not it. Like Khan doesn't have like a player like Naguri weekly. He doesn't have Flandre that are literally gonna, or the Shy if he turns up one day. Like he doesn't have those top laners that are literally gonna be like, oh, we're fight, or Zoom even. Like he doesn't have that constant competition. Where that's like what I think. Obviously, the LPL, just a bigger league, has more competition, more players. Like I think they, I think that's what's gonna hamper them so much, that Damwon not gonna win it, just for the fact, like pure fact that I think they downgraded the top laner, and I don't think you can upgrade from Naguri. I think that's literally impossible.
Yeah, I agree in terms of it being a downgrade. I still think that top lane competition is there in the LCK with Rascal, and I really love watching Kingan play the game.
Oh, Kingan's good.
Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, you're right that they're weaker, but not by a large margin. And it's not as if they were necessarily, even though everyone will remember them having a really talented top laner in Nuguri. I mean, they won their game primarily through their jungler. Canyon, I thought, was the best jungler in the world, still is the best jungler in the world. And like he will have a lot of pressure through mid, through Showmaker, and their bot lanes is winning. So they may not have the free every lane is winning their lane card that they had last time around, but it's still a bit too oppressive. So that's where I'm at with them. A lot can change in a year, so I'm never gonna like predict them winning worlds, but I think that they're in a good position to do that, and I do think they'll win MSI.
I mean, MSI depends who goes from the LPL. If it's EDG, then I'm like, yes, EDG winning it. If RNG go, then I'll be like, probably Korea wins it, maybe. Like, I'm not sure how all these young players from RNG are gonna fare on an international stage. Like, there's a lot of young players on that roster. If FPX go, I think they are gonna challenge or win, but it depends on which jungler goes. Now, I know Tian's about. I'm sure Bo's gonna play this rest of the split for what happened with his incident. And it's Bei Xuan. Not Bei Xuan. I can't remember how to say his name, but I know they're looking to play for him, and I know he's solid. He's really good, but he's not Bo coming in and just dominating, almost pentakilling IG 7 times. And also if Tian comes back, hopefully he can click again. Like he looks like the weak member of FPX, which is kind of sad. But like I could see them challenging or at least winning, maybe doing well. I think if Rare Atom go, I'm gonna go all in on them, but I don't think they'd beat Showmaker and the boys, which is kind of sad. But I'd see them getting to the final. And there's also like other outliers, like JDG still have to click, and when they fully click, they could be a very lethal team. They also have Mystic and Shie that you have Mystic and Shie on the bench. Like, what?
We have a lot of contenders in the LPL.
But yeah, also about Kingen, which was a really funny point, was the fact that I believe he was he the star on BLG last season, or was he like the backup? I can't remember, but I remember seeing him a few times. I know he was at BLG.
He was for sure the starter, if I remember correctly.
And I just remember him not being as, I remember him obviously talented top laner, but not as good. And then he joins DRX this season, and I'm like, that's just a good signing. I think it's like a Morgan signing in Hammer. It's like, hey, they're gonna click, they're gonna do okay, and he's actually just really good. And I'm glad he's finally found a team that allows him to play like that. I also think DRX are a bit of the Dignitas of Korea, just for the fact like they're these young players that are all like just like, fuck it, let's just have fun. Let's go a bit book wild. And Piotric's just there playing anything he wants to play. Obviously not as much as Dardoch, but like, man brought out Udyr, then he brought out Mundo. He's killing Peanut. It's fun to watch, and it's possible you can't not enjoy that team. But I don't think they'd win LCK unless
they would need more tools. That's why I think the next
bot lane is a bit.
Yeah, next split for me is what is going to mean a lot, because they did. I think their top side is much stronger than it was. Like they just look like they look like a better team. So, Kingen is the type of person I think that BLG really missed the ship on them. I think a lot of the drama that was happening on BLG was really unfortunate when he was there, because like they would have been a winning team with Kingen as an option. Kingen and Meteor.
Yep.
But that just happens. And he's in a really good team right now. So that being said, I mean, if it's MSI, Damwon is in a really good position. If it's Worlds, I think we'll get a few more roster changes to like before we can make a decision on who's gonna go.
Was that BLG drama the Fofo one, or am I thinking a different team?
That was like there was a Fofo was one of it, but like there were changes in the jungle, like Meteor and Best 16, and
oh yes. Best 16.
They also had like brought in Wings, and they made a lot of weird roster decisions at that time. That can only be described like what was happening internally.
Yeah, I completely just removed that from my brain, seeing Wings play and Jin Zhao play, and then Jin Zhao like keep changing positions constantly. I still don't know what position he actually wants to play.
And that's definitely a bad role swap or decisions that they were making when they brought in Kingen. If you bring in a talent like that, you should probably be on the same page of what you want.
Yeah, that was a bit weird, but I believe that happens to one team every LPL season. They just like say, hey, you know what, screw you, we're gonna do whatever the hell we want, and we're doing this. And obviously the drama this season seems to be coming from FPX's jungle situation, which sadly happens. And hopefully esports can get better and stop doing that kind of stuff, because we don't like negativity in this space. We enjoy positivity, and the Shy not making me lose my mind every second of the day. But that's gonna bring us to the end of the show. Raz, would you like to shout out anything you're doing, anything at all?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me.
No
shout out. You've been really consistent, which has been great to see. Bringing on people that love talking and watching the show, or watching LPL, and I think it's really nice. I don't really have anything to shout out except for just follow me on Twitter. Just to see what ends up happening for me, because LCS, I'm on LCS and I haven't been on because of visa issues, but that should be wrapping up really quickly. So I'll for sure be on in time for playoffs. Like that's gonna happen.
Will we see Raz returning to casting at any point?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like that was the purpose. So I'll be there for casting.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's gonna happen during playoffs because that's really late, but I'm for sure gonna just be on the show. So that's all I really want.
Personally, for me, one of my favorite casting duos in the world is Captain Flowers and Raz. Like when you guys did Worlds play-ins, I had so much fun, because it's like I already enjoy watching play-ins, because play-ins is just like such a like mess of a thing. Like you get like Kakao versus like whoever the hell he wants to fight, and he's playing for Turkey. It's like, this is cool. You get these random players, and they're making, this is probably might be the only worlds they ever get to go to, so they're just gonna have fun and like play their way. And then you've got Captain Flowers going rap god mode, and Raz and you just being you is just like one of the best combos of like that I get to like witness. It's actually
I appreciate that.
it's top tier. It's top tier, and hopefully
appreciate that.
we get a Raz Captain Flowers LCS final. I was gonna say LCK final, but you guys don't. You guys don't cast LCK.
Yeah.
Well, one question that before I end would be, you know, Captain Flowers does his like he commentates like people's solo queue games.
Yeah.
And like their messy games. Would you ever do a Captain Flowers Raz just show of you guys just doing that for like bronze league?
We've done that a few times already. We've had like
I've been missing it then.
We've had like a few of those kind of like bronze games that we casted that are just hilarious. Oh, viewer games actually. He did viewer games at the time, and I was helping cast those. So we just had some hilarious reactions to things. So yeah, that happened a few times, and I'm sure it'll happen again.
Because in a way, that's kind of gonna segue into one thing that I was literally gonna talk about for just a quick moment. Because obviously, I would like to do a bit of self promo because I run the show and I don't stream enough because uni work and stuff. But right now, obviously, I help run a league called the UN League, which is a nice I won't say it's not amateur. It's a for fun league. I'm currently the reigning champion. I was championship team. I should be respected. And right now, my friend is currently doing his weekly podcast, which is back. And the first season happened over the weekend. Obviously, it's at the same time as LEC and LCS starts, just as we're ending. And I cast on it sometimes. And obviously, we're going to go host that afterwards because that's the nice thing to go do. And scare my friend because he's trying to get used to doing his talk show again. So as I end and I say thank you to everyone for coming out and Raz coming on, thank you so much for coming on. It means a lot to have, someone of your stature, as I would say. You're not 6'5", but you stand 6'5" in this scene.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're gonna go raid the UN League channel. So if you guys want to stick around and listen to the Team of the Week awards and stuff like that, you can go stick around. Just go drop that follow and watch that. You'll see if you want regular content of me. My Twitter exists, and also I cast on there. I might not be casting this week. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for coming out, guys. Thanks for watching, and thank you, Raz. Hope to speak to you again whenever. But we'll end the stream here. Goodbye, as it's starting to raid in 9 seconds. So enjoy. Goodbye.